Welcome back to Neighborhood Flavor. My name is Justin Teller, and tonight's segment will touch upon one of the leading global causes of poor health, poverty. According to Statistics Canada, about 1 in 7 people live in poverty nationwide. This segment will examine the negative effects poverty can have on health, and we have some guests on our show today that will give us more information about this. First up, we have Chris in the field with McMaster Volunteers.
Hey Justin, I'm here in downtown Hamilton, one of Ontario's largest cities. I'm joined by Alex and Veronica, who are university student volunteers deeply involved in the community. Alex will tell us about his group.
For sure. So we're McMaster students, and we're part of a group at McMaster called CVA, or Community Volunteers in Action. So we have around 22 placements around the city, and we spend time volunteering with different populations who are either vulnerable or at risk. So that includes young children, single mothers, and adults with disabilities.
That sounds great. What can you tell us about poverty here in Hamilton?
For sure. Well, people live in a state of poverty when they lack the means necessary to meet basic needs such as food, shelter, and clothing. So this usually happens on an ongoing basis and affects people in their daily lives.
What impact does this have on their health and well-being?
Right, so the first thing about poverty is that it can result in malnutrition. So that means essentially families that have lower incomes may be unable to afford good nutritious meals. So that may make them resort to stuff like fast food or may have fewer meals per day. And this can have some negative impacts on their health. So for example, children may have weak or brittle bones, vitamin deficiencies, iron deficiencies, and can also result in dehydration.
For sure, and also in addition, some recent studies have also shown that food insufficient households are actually 80% more likely to report having diabetes, 60% more likely to report having high blood pressure, and 70% more likely to report having food allergies. So poverty can definitely result in malnutrition and bring about other negative health consequences.
That's definitely eye-opening. I know a study done at McMaster University that found a 21-year difference in life expectancy between the poorest and the richest in Hamilton, Ontario.
No, I'm not surprised by that at all. Most people don't really appreciate how poverty can really affect your long-term health.
Definitely. What are other poverty effects you've seen while working as a volunteer student?
Well, poverty can lead to poor educational and social opportunities and outcomes. So actually in 2006, it was reported that high school dropout rate was actually 9.5%. Which might seem like a small number, but that actually represents over 200,000 Canadians with the age range of 20 to 24 that don't have their high school diploma. So, and dropping out of high school results in a higher chance of unemployment in your adulthood, which can continue the cycle of poverty and unemployment.
Yeah, and unemployment in turn can lead to greater crime rates and homelessness rates. And it's been reported that high school dropout rates account for about 80% of the inmates in the federal jail. So essentially there's a clear link here between poverty, homelessness, unemployment, and crime.
Wow, that's a lot of stats there. How on earth do you guys know all this?
Well, working as part of the CVA, it's given really both of us the opportunity to understand and appreciate the community that we live in.
Well, that's great. Thank you for joining us today, guys, and we'll get back to you, Justin.
I am joined today by Dr. Frances Howard, founder and CEO of the Martha Howard Center for Mental Health, an organization dedicated to improving the resources and opportunities available for individuals with mental health. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I understand that you grew up here in Hamilton. What inspired you to start this organization?
I grew up in Hamilton with 5 other siblings. My mother never finished high school, so she had to keep 3 jobs. I remember she would often skip dinner because my little brother would be hungry. And there were days where we would all go to sleep a little hungry because my mother would still be waiting for her paycheck. I was a smart kid, you know? And everyone in my neighborhood encouraged me to finish school. And I did, while my other brothers and sisters dropped out. And after I finished high school, my teachers implored me to pursue higher education. And I did with the help of government funding, scholarships, and bursaries.
So I heard you have a PhD in mental health.
I do.
So what made you pick mental health?
My family has a long history of mental illness, and watching my mom, I realized that financial stress is a major contributor to mental illness. Also, most people with mental illness, they have fewer opportunities, which leads to higher high school dropout rates and unemployment. Unemployment and low income can cause a lot of stress in people, and it's not surprising that these factors lead to depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideations.
That sounds like a great idea. I feel like that can bridge the gap between high and low income.
Yes, we work primarily through generous donors that sponsor the organization, as well as receive government funding. We have staff and volunteers that are passionate about helping individuals achieve their goals. And we hope to make resources such as peer mentoring, counseling, and peer support more accessible to those individuals and families through our organization.
Thank you for telling us about your amazing success and your work with the organization. I hope you learned a lot from this segment of Neighborhood Flavor. Up next is an undercover cat exposes a fake vet in Mississauga. We'll talk more about that after the break.